Well, it's hour number 2 of the Freedom Link here on the Orion Talk Radio Network. I'm Joe Joseph. My guest this hour, this is a very, very important subject, folks, and something that I'm going to call on all the listeners of this broadcast to maybe step it up a notch and make a phone call or two or write an email or do a little something above and beyond the call of duty, if you will. My guests tonight are the hosts of The Medical Conspiracy here on the Orion Talk Radio Network, Dr. Carpenter, and her co-host Randy joined the broadcast because...
Hi, Joe.
Hey, they have been, how shall we put it?
Raided.
Destroyed, murder, death, kill, that kind of stuff.
Neutralized.
That's actually a pretty good term. But basically, folks, what happened was 2 days ago, the FDA actually raided the LaysMed Inc. And here we are now with Dr. Carpenter. The lasers are gone. The patient's records are gone. They took her money.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Rent.
So I guess the first thing...
Rent, utility, and regular expenses.
I think the first thing that would be good for the listeners to get is a background. So what is LaysMed Inc. and what were you doing?
Well, what we have been doing for years is trying to introduce this new method of cancer treatment that uses lasers and is based on hyperthermia. Everybody knows that hyperthermia has been around forever, and it does kill human tissue. Now, the trick was, how do you get to kill just the cancer and nothing else? So the healthy tissue is not affected, and that's why we have developed. In a simple way, we change the color of the tumor mass so it will absorb the light, and the light is normally not absorbing any significant amount by healthy tissue, so only the cancer will reach a temperature that will kill it. And it is what they call a coagulation necrosis, which means the cytoplasm of the cell thickens, the cell cannot breathe, and it's dead. And that's it. And it's dead in place. And after that, you don't do anything. You just wait that your body flushes out the dead tissue. Mm-hmm. You do not do anything. That's the best thing you can do for yourself. You cannot have alternative treatment to boost the immune system because that makes a mess of your healing process. You just leave it alone and let the body do it at its own pace.
So what you're saying then, Doc, is that radiation is not a good way to kill cancer?
Yeah, well, of course not. Would you go on vacation on Fukushima? Okay.
It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, right. Go on vacation on Fukushima to treat your cancer.
That's it.
Yeah. And years ago, we questioned FDA. Mm-hmm. Why did you approve ionizing radiation to treat cancer when you know that in itself it causes cancer? You might kill the one that you target, but you cause another one.
You questioned the FDA?
Oh, yeah.
No wonder you got raided.
Well, and I was questioning them when I got raided, okay? And they hated that. But so, you know what the answer of FDA was? We approved that because there was nothing else. Well, now and for years, there's been a lot. And they haven't done anything.
This is the latest. It's the latest event in a long chain of legal occurrences, and it's gotten thick in the last 3 years. Mainly.
So what's been? How have you guys come under attack?
Started in Arkansas.
Well, go ahead and expand on that a little bit.
Okay, what happened? We had this little place, and we were treating patients. Things were getting better. The word was getting out, and we got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then one of the local television stations, they were expanding on advertising. They found our website and said, oh, gosh, you're in Arkansas. So let's do something, advertise on our station. And they had this thing about infomercial. They were pretty expensive, but I really did not want to do it, but other people overruled me, so we started the infomercial, and we were filming those and discussing our treatment and discussing our stuff and discussing what we were doing and the success. And the local medical establishment started getting up kind of in uproar, but nothing major. Then what happened was that for the insert in October, the local newspaper insert for the Race for the Cure, mm-hmm. and the pink garbage everywhere, the pink ribbons, but they wanted our ad. And the paper came up with this fantastic ad that shows a man and a woman in a car, and it's one of those top-down sports car, and as her arm stretched out in the air, indicating freedom, and there is a blue sky and an open road to indicate that our treatment gives you freedom. You're happy. You're free.
With just a little pink in the clouds, a little pink tint put in the clouds.
Mm-hmm.
It was just great. Boy, that caused a turmoil with the local medical school, the complaint with the Attorney General office, and I was attacked from all directions.
Oh, my goodness.
And then they couldn't do anything to me. They attacked the doctor that was working with us, so the medical board called him in. He turned out to be a mole, and he turned against us, and he was trying to steal the technology. So it was one of those, and steal the evidence of some results.
You caught him. You caught him. You came into work early, and you caught him in the boardroom trying to sell some specs to a manufacturer.
Yes, a manufacturer of medical equipment. So we caught him, and that's how he was fired. And then we figured out we are not going to get another doctor here. And I'm really sick and tired of doctors. They had already attacked one and took it away just to not renew his license. And then another doctor that was coming from another state, they didn't give her the Arkansas license. It was all trying to stop me. So I said, okay, what the heck? I'm tired. I'm moving to Oklahoma because of the liberal rules about alternative practitioner in Oklahoma. Well, they obviously were planning different things. And so when I left the state, and I ended the charter of the company that was operating in Arkansas, they were left with nothing. And that's when they were ballistic, and they filed this phony lawsuit, and they were held
well, not to mention, even though you tried to do what's best for you and your family, in their eyes, I can totally see how they're looking at this now. Oh yeah, she packed her bags and left. She's running. She's got something to hide.
Yeah,
well,
and she used the word liberal medical laws in a specific context, right? She didn't use the L word. I heard her say the L word, and I just wanted to make sure you understood.
Oh no, I understand what she's saying. Absolutely. She's just a diehard socialist. I understand.
Actually, they're old laws, because in Oklahoma you have the old Indian Territory laws, so people can go to a medicine man if they wish.
Right.
Okay. They can go an holistic practitioner. They can go to a healer. They can do what they want.
Right.
And it should be in every state, but unfortunately it's not. That's why I said the most liberal arts is the oldest law in the world, because you should have that freedom to do that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, your body is your property, and in this country, one of the major things, when this country was founded, property rights was at the core of what made this country what it is today. And, made it what it was. But now, today, we're more of
because, you see, they got this trial, and it was totally violation of the 14th Amendment. I was in another state. They could not have done it. And a lot of things that they did, they could not have done it. And they harassed me and torment me. And just having the lawsuit was not enough. That's why they had to come up with the trolls that were saying wrong things about our treatment.
And the trolls, one of the important things that they started out saying was that she moved to run away from the lawsuit.
I knew that.
Even though the lawsuit happened 3 months after she moved. Yeah.
Right. That doesn't matter.
FDA that did the raid 2 days ago said they were trying to indicate the same thing. So
right,
you left Arkansas to avoid the lawsuit? There was no lawsuit when I left.
That thought, Dr. C. When we come back, folks, we'll continue our conversation with Randy and Dr. Carpenter. So don't go away. Remember, folks, perception, 99% of the law. That's the way they view it. And if that's the way they see it, that's the way they're going to pursue it. We'll be right back. Welcome back, folks. Don't forget the email address is thefreedomlink@centurylink.net. Thefreedomlink@centurylink.net. I'd like to thank all of you that take the time to email me. I respond to every single email that you send. May take me a little bit sometimes, but I get around to it. Believe me, there's a lot of them. I'm joined by Dr. Carpenter and her co-host Randy.
Hey, while we're talking about email addresses, here's a good one. Everybody take this down.
Yes.
Jeremy.Bain at oci.fda.gov gov, and I'll drop it in the chat.
Yes,
too.
please do. Okay, folks. What the email that he's giving out is the special agent from the Food and Drug Administration, Office of Criminal Investigations, that actually conducted the raid on Dr. Carpenter's practice, and
Under false pretenses.
under false pretense. So let's just give that out. That's Jeremy G. Bain,
Yeah.
5799 Broadmoor Street, Suite 600, Mission, Kansas, 66202. And his telephone number, if anybody wants to know, 913-236-0807. That's 913-236-0807. And let Mr. Bain know how you feel about the FDA intruding and destroying somebody's well-being and way of life. I mean, this is how Dr. Carpenter makes a living, folks. This is how she supports her family, and just like that, taken away by a bunch of thugs.
Because I saved people's lives. And you know how they did it? Right. 28 years I dedicated on this, okay? And people were getting really good results, and they were doing fine as long as they were left alone.
Yeah, imagine.
Because heat kills cancer. And the nonsense I heard from this idiot that came from FDA is unbelievable. Oh, you don't have a long line of people standing in line to get in. That proves that it doesn't work.
Dr. Carpenter, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
If your child comes down with cancer,
Right, they asked me that too.
do you give that child the standard treatment, the socially acceptable treatment?
Only if you're an idiot and you're crazy. Absolutely not. It kills people, and it's going to kill a child faster than anybody else.
Well, here's the thing, and Randy, I would love to get your response on this too. Is from a now see. The lovely thing about my listeners are they're critical thinkers for the most part, and I really like the feedback that I get from them. So just put on your critical thinking cap for a second. The whole idea of killing cancer with the traditional method is to radiate it to death. But in the process of radiating it to death, well, you're doing damage to your organs, and you're introducing a very, very potent carcinogen into your system. So how does that make sense, Randy?
It makes dollars and cents.
Ah, there you go. See, ding, 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 ding. Big fan, my friends.
They bring you in with early detection, and they tell you and I'm nothing. I've had the fortune of picking up by osmosis a lot of things for the last 6 to 7 years, and it's the Komen Foundation is the perfect example. With propaganda and everything and fundraising, they expand the reach of mammography. So what does that equate to? That means every year they're bringing in more and more women to have mammograms, early detection, to bring them into the system. And even mammography can cause cancer.
Oh yeah, no, I've heard that. I've heard that it's actually
Go ahead. It gives you a lot of false readings, so they're actually butchering people for nothing.
Have some.
And they brag about the advancements, in the cancer industry, the advancements in oncology. I don't see any advancements. I see oncology advancing, and I see cancer rates advancing, right? Parallel. I mean,
okay, you know what advancement they have achieved? That in the early days when they had cisplatin, that was the only chemo, okay? People were dying very quickly. Now they have new drugs that are more sneaky, and they cause internal problem, but they're slower, so you can be a cash cow for a lot longer. Because if you die too quickly, they don't make any money, not enough. So they got new drugs that make you last longer, suffering because taking chemo makes you really sick, but you last longer, so they make more money. And that's the advancement they're talking about, even if they're not telling you that. That's the advancement.
Right. Well, I mean, we know that the FDA has been in bed with Big Pharma for a long time. As a matter of fact, I mean, I really don't think that the FDA makes decisions on their own anymore.
No.
I really don't. I think that seriously, their strings are pulled. So what you have is a process and a way to fight cancer that doesn't introduce pharmaceuticals into the body.
No, not
Right. So, well, that's not good because.
Of course, they try to call our photo enhancer a drug. That's one of the things they're trying to do.
Well, explain that, like the process. Explain to our listeners the process of how you go about eradicating the cancer, or just.
First of all, I can only treat cases because I don't have the assistance of the medical establishment. So I can only treat cases of cancer where it's either skin cancer or it's a lump that the patient can feel.
Okay.
That doesn't matter what type of tissue, because human tissue gets killed by a certain amount of heat, and we just go threshold enough heat to kill the cells in place without burning, making the charring, then doing any major damage. It's just hyperthermia.
Beam's got a 4-inch reach, right?
The light has a 4-inch penetration, so it can be below the skin. But what I'm saying is the normal tissue will not absorb the light enough to make it damage. So that's how you get it selective. What we do, we inject the color into the tumor, so the tumor changes color and it will absorb the light. So the tumor only will get hot, not hot, it will warm up enough to kill the cells. Basically, what it does is called coagulation necrosis, which it's thickens the cytoplasm.
Would you say that it's similar to, say, like freezing a wart off?
Okay, but instead of freezing, see, the freezing has no penetration. Instead of freezing is heat and has a lot more penetration. See, when you freeze a wart off, you don't go very deep, and then you have to repeat it a lot of times, and it's a struggle with it, okay? But this one is the same idea, only it's not with cold, it's with heat, and it's the minimum amount of heat to thicken the cytoplasm so the cell cannot breathe and it dies. And then you just have to be patient and wait that the body absorbs the dead tissue and you are normal. So back to like you never had anything. But in the meantime, and that, depending on the size of the tumor, can take years. But as long as you realize your tumor is not growing, you do absolutely nothing other than taking something that will control, like turmeric, to control the inflammation that happens during the healing, and you take some enzyme to help flush out the dead tissue. That's all you need.
Do you ever recommend that they go back for any test to make sure that it's not?
Okay, see, that's the point, okay? Before they leave, I do the ultrasound that shows there is no blood flow left in the tumor, so therefore no blood flow means death. Well, after that, they can go back and have more ultrasound. But what happens is the system says, no, you cannot do that. You have to have a mammogram first. Gee, I know I have a lump there. What do I need a mammogram for? We cannot do an ultrasound without a mammogram. And then you have to have a PET scan. No, they want to use the things they've always used, but they do not apply to tissue dead by hyperthermia. But they say that's what we have always done. This has been the 25 years
Yeah, but you used a completely different way to attack the cancer.
Right. So you can.
How do you expect you're going to get right? How are you going to test with the same method of diagnosis?
Right. I mean, it kind of defeats the whole purpose of what you guys are doing by using the same old method. So don't go away, folks. We got to go to break, but when we come back, we'll talk more about this kind of stuff. And gosh, you can't talk about stuff like this enough when your rights have been trampled on and your way of making a living totally eradicated. We'll be right back.
Real alternative radio. We are OrionTalkRadio.com.
Welcome back, folks. My guest for the second hour is of the medical conspiracy here on the Orion Talk Radio Network, Dr. Carpenter and her co-host Randy, who have just been the victims of the FDA. Yes, and folks, if you remember, one of my regular guests on the broadcast, Alfred Adisk, went through a similar situation in dealing with the FDA. Only he kicked him in the butt and sent him packing. And we hope and pray that our actions, by exposing this and further taking action against the FDA will produce similar results for Dr. Carpenter and Randy for sure. So
I'll tell you one thing, everybody listening right now, you can go to lasmedinc.com, and there's a link on the right-hand column for a petition at change.org. Go to the petition, sign it.
Very good. That's lasmedinc.com. We'll be giving out that website, and if anybody needs any further information, you can always email me, thefreedomlink@centurylink.net. That's thefreedomlink@centurylink.net. And Dr. Carpenter, your email is what? Tell us at medicalconspiracy.com, correct?
That is one, yeah.
Okay.
She has several.
Yeah.
Or Dr.
There is
Carpenter.
another one that is Dr. Carpenter at lasmedinc.com. So.
Okay, very good. So, folks, I mean, if you need any further information, if you want to volunteer or help in any way, shape, or form, one of the things that Dr. Carpenter really needs right now is a little legal advice. So if anybody has any lawyers or know of any lawyers that would be willing to help out Dr. Carpenter, please relay that information to her, or you can email me and I will pass it along. As we really can't have enough ammo in this fight.
I need an attorney that is a gun no character, but is also honest and will do this and not take the money from the opposite side and stab me in the back like they have done so far. See? Yeah.
What a sad state of affairs. But folks, again, this is not the way this country is supposed to work. It's not. This is totally bass-ackwards, and we are totally in a fascist police state. And if there isn't anything, I mean, I don't know what else people need to see to get this through their heads, that this is the world that we live in now, and unless we step up, this is not going to change for the better. It's going to change for the worse.
It is.
And this is an awful, it's not a great example. This is an awful example of what happens when government overreaches.
Yeah, and it's affecting, you see, people are saying, well, it's happening to you, it's happening to others, who cares? No, this is affecting everybody.
That's right.
Because it's taking away the freedom to choose. It is your body's your decision. You don't want to be butchered. You don't want to be poisoned. You don't want to be radiated and have your health totally ruined for the rest of whatever life you have, which, believe me, has been shortened by those treatments.
Well, isn't it the same argument as like legalizing drugs? Because in this state, if you want to put something in your body, that's your body. You're directly responsible for your body, not only of what you put in, but the health repercussions of putting
but you're really not responsible, because you go see a doctor and he tells you take this because the doctor says good for you, and you're killing yourself and you don't know it.
Right, yeah, because
I can go buy a fifth of tequila and turn myself into a living danger, turn my car into a living death
missile.
machine.
Right, yeah, sure.
And that's perfectly legal, because I have the responsibility of knowing when I'm able to drive and when I'm not.
Right. No, that's the whole thing, is that,
and it would work with cannabis too.
Oh, of course it would. It would work with anything.
But the patient tell me, okay, these people say that this does not work, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And it's ridiculous, because if you just need a minimum of biology, you know that it cannot not work. And obvious that it works, because hyperthermia kills tissue. You cook it, and it doesn't spread because it can't spread. It's cooked.
Let me ask you this. Now, are your patients speaking out at all as far as the FDA is concerned?
No, I have some names and that I sent to FDA. Of course, they have all the files. They have all the names. But there are some that will talk. And so if they
You kind of have to know what's happened to a few people to realize why they're so afraid.
Well, give a background on that. What has happened, and why will people not speak up?
Because, as I said, the healing process is really slow. And if they do some stupid things like they not follow our advice and take immune boosters, then the tumor can break the skin and be exposed. It's not alive, it's dead, but it looks terrible, and people get scared. So they go see an oncologist, and what happens? They get poisoned, and then they die. And then they might die 2-3 years after they got our treatment, 2-3 years of chemo, they die. What do they say? Well, it was your treatment, not what we did afterward. It's your treatment.
Even though the tumor's dead.
Yeah, because they don't admit it is. They say,
This
"No,
is where
it's
we
not
need 2 hours. Well, because even the lawsuit, which is part of what, like I said, this goes back to Little Rock. This is a 3-year process that's been going on, where the courts and the government have been attacking her. But even the case in Little Rock that made headlines, and if you go to Google and search Dr. Carpenter, you'll see it. The lawsuit, the mainstream news reports on the lawsuit. The medical records, which it took Dr. Carpenter 2 years to get into her hands because they didn't want to.
Almost 3 years, yeah.
They didn't want to let her have them. She went through 3 different attorneys before they would let her have the medical records. Anyway, the records showed that this woman who had a needless mastectomy for the sake of a lawsuit, because they wanted to bring her in flat-chested and suffering and, to influence the jury, right?
How horrible is that?
The records proved, and she did this because she thought she stood to get a lot of money. The records proved that what they cut off, pathology-wise, proved that what they cut off was dead cancer. They didn't think about it. It just proved that what she did worked.
Yeah, but you want to know, the sad state of affairs is that in this country, there was put in place processes for people to have redress or recourse if they've been wronged in any way, shape, or form. And now, today, you don't have that. So, for example, you've just been wronged by the federal government, by the FDA. Yeah. What's your form of recourse? How do you go about getting justice, Dr. Carpenter?
I don't know, and they didn't tell me anything. They didn't tell me what's going on. We are investigating. In the meantime, we're investigating. I say, how can you do this with the words of 3 people, 3 cases? I have a lot more that can tell you the opposite. Mm-hmm. Well, we are investigating. We'll find out. Oh, yeah, in the meantime, you steal all my property. You ransack my place. Oh, we didn't ransack it. Yeah. See, and put me in a position that you took my money. Oh, because this money was obtained with the treatment you offer, which is under investigation. So we can do that, and we can stop you from treating patients by taking all your property and the lasers. So you cannot do it. They even took off
just like a DEA
off the cork board that they took all the connection we have about places that sell different supplements like turmeric, like, something that is natural to kill pain. Some ridiculous stuff that it's on sale. They took all our connection and how to contact these groups.
You know that a lot of people now are seeing through the smokescreen. That's what makes Obamacare so outrageous and egregious, is that they're forcing people to take part in the system. They don't.
Obamacare.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, the idea of that was that you're put in a position that you have to pay for insurance,
right.
And you have to accept. The insurance is not forced to pay for whatever.
It's not for holistic medicine because they don't cover holistic medicine. If you ever get insurance.
My opinion was you want to force down the throat of people insurance, then you have to force the insurance company to accept any treatment and pay for any treatment that the patient chooses.
Exactly. Holistic medicine because there's such a drive now. It's
right.
And it's not
that's what they want to put a stop to.
But that's not the only thing. Let's just look at this for a second. You have such a movement in America now where the trust level of government is at a all-time low, tremendous all-time low. And people in droves are now seeing through the farce that, oh, the FDA only has your best interest at heart. They're out to protect you. Right, okay, that's great. So people have seen through that smokescreen, and now you have more people than ever before using alternative treatments for things like cancer or Alzheimer's or things like that. There are different things for, it's kind of like my thing, God put on this earth everything that you need to be able to combat these diseases. All you got to do is do the homework research and know how to do it, right?
Yeah, but see, we all the bad propaganda against us, even though people think, wow, with lasers, that seems logical. A lot of people have told me that seems logical and it makes sense.
Right, hold that thought, Doc. We'll be right back after these messages. Don't go away.
Okay.
Welcome back, folks. Last segment of the broadcast. Man, tonight's broadcast has flew by. And before the break, I was talking about how people are flying away from these ideas, these conventional ways and droves, just because of the outright distrust, not only of the government, but of big pharma. People are starting to see through the scam of the banks, all of this kind of stuff. And that's why you're seeing global events unfold as you are, because they know the gig is up. They know we're winning the battle. And so this is why they're resorting to these tactics.
And at the same time, the divide and conquer it just gets more and more intense every step of the way.
Absolutely.
The people that know that everything that's controlling us is a unified pyramid, yet they can't agree.
Sure, of course.
Among themselves, and that's part of the plan to get us all fighting amongst.
In order to see through the ruse, you have to not only do the research, but there's a certain level of selflessness that has to be employed. And I've said this on the broadcast, and I'll say it again. The only way that we're going to affect change in the United States is to break the culture of convenience and to be selfless. And when I say selfless, I mean stuff like this. Let me use an example. It is easy to be able to take your child to the pediatrician, shoot them up with vaccines, and send them to stamp USDA on his ass and send him right through the trough of public knowledge or public school. But it's a selfless act for you to say, no, I am not going to participate. I'm not going to do that. And instead, I'm going to take the personal responsibility as a parent, and I'm going to teach my own child. I'm going to homeschool them.
Oh, you can do it on a computer now.
You can do it on the computer. There's plenty of resources. You're absolutely right, Dr. C. But the fact remains that it's a selfless act. In order to be personally responsible, not only for your family, but yourself and your own body, it's going to...
It also takes courage.
It takes courage, and it takes research. It takes time. You have to do the homework. And to do that, you have to get off the couch. You have to stop watching that TV a little bit and actually do stuff that is going to not only benefit you in the long run, benefit your family, but it actually helps change things. Just that little act, just that selfless act, that step, that courageous first step, and that's really all it takes. The hardest part is taking that little first step. After that, I mean, it's all downhill. But you have to do it. And just by doing that alone, you're making change. You may not feel it, you may not think it, but you're
taking a stand, okay?
That's
when you
right.
do that, you're taking a stand. And no, we will not take any more of this. And that should be done with medical treatment too. No, we won't. No, we won't take all those drugs. No, we won't do it.
That's right.
Because those drugs are killing people. Don't do it. Oh, but my doctor said that the success rate, they're lying to you because they're getting paid by the drug company to push that garbage.
Medical schools, the whole nine. Remember, folks, too, we exposed on the Freedom Link the fact that public schools are getting a stipend or a bonus for every child that they put on psychotropic drugs. They get a bonus for that.
Yes, I know, and I've heard from people that work in the school system, not the teachers, the one that are getting the money.
Right.
But yes, that's what happens. More kids they can put in what is it? Why HDA?
ADHD. Yeah, it's attention deficit hyperactive disorder or ADHD.
And I think that's a made-up story.
Of course it is.
It's not a disease. Kids are kids. Let them...
Let me explain.
Now, what they're doing is they're stopping the break, lunch break and all of these things. And kids are active. You stop them from being active, then you get a problem.
I actually did a little study into that because when my son was in public school, they diagnosed him with ADHD, and my son is about the least hyperactive kid on the face of the earth. So right then and there, I found that, okay, that's not right.
Something wrong here.
But I didn't know. So at the time, I played the game, and we said, no, I just want something non-stimulant. And so they put him on this non-stimulant medication called Strattera. And he's getting ready for school one day, and he's sitting down, and he's crying. And he was crying because he had to tie his shoes. And at that point, I was like, okay, no more. And I started doing a little bit of research into why it was that this is being such a problem in school. So I went and figured out his schedule, and we looked at it, and I came to the conclusion, based on observation, going to the school, watching him learn, the whole nine, that out of a school day, they spend roughly 2 to 2.5 hours learning. The rest of the time is spent preparing for these No Child Left Behind tests and or socializing, homeroom.
Actually,
recess,
it's also, you're missing
study.
something. Sit there, don't move, don't talk, don't breathe.
Oh, right, that too.
Policing them.
But then guess what? These kids come home with 3 and 4 hours of homework a night, and they're not allowed to be children. They don't go out and play anymore. Instead, guess what you're doing as parents sending them to public school? You're homeschooling them. Because now you parents that are responsible,
Because the teachers don't want to work.
you have to teach the kids at home when they have all this homework that they don't know how to do because they didn't learn it in school.
Yeah, because they don't teach them a damn thing.
Right, so
Okay.
in actuality, you're homeschooling them anyway. So why the hell do you have them there in the first place?
Well, they have the computer. You still have to work sometimes with them, but you have computers, so you can
Sure.
do that. See, the computers are going to take away the teacher's job, and they richly deserve it because
But
they're
Do
worthless.
you see the farce? That's what I'm trying to point out.
No, it is awful.
Cynic scam, just like the FDA and Big Pharma, and that's why Dr. Carpenter's being attacked.
Well, I know you're familiar with Charlotte Iserby, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, dumbing down.
Sure. And, well, that's what it is. People are programmed. This is 19...
Even adults with what they show. Oh, the doctor said that this is going to be 92% effective in killing you, not in saving you.
Right.
I mean, people believe that garbage. It's unreal.
Well-
And then when you tell them, okay, this is what's going to happen, really, but my doctor said this. Oh, really?
So, Doc, we got about 3 minutes left.
Yeah.
Doc and Randy, what do you guys need from the listening audience? And if there's any websites, where can they donate to your do you have a legal fund? Anything like that? Let's get that out.
Just a help fund, yes. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, we've got the best place to start is lasmedinc.com because we've got it all up front right now. LASEMEDINC.com, and all of the blog sites, the Facebook, Twitter, everything is in a nice little package on the right-hand sidebar, and there is a widget to go to the petition to sign that, and underneath there is a donation button for the I think it's called the Help Dr. Carpenter Fund. It's a new PayPal that was just set up. And
the other thing we need is help of some attorney that wants to take this, because I know that for certain things I'm gonna need one, and I hate that because they have ruined me. Lawyers have contributed to ruin me, but in this situation, I'm gonna need something.
It's well, let me tell you something. First of all, my heart goes out to you guys for what you've been through, because this is absolutely egregious. It's an egregious trampling of your God-given rights.
it's like Roger Waters putting that last brick into the wall.
Boy, you're not kidding. And we're going to continue. We're going to continue our coverage of this as things unfold, and I'll definitely have you guys back on as much as possible. But what I want to do right now is give out the special agent's name that actually conducted the raid one more time. That's Jeremy G. Bain, Special Agent of the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, Office of Criminal Investigations, because Dr. Carpenter is a criminal. Right. His number, 913-236-0807. That's 913-236-0807. And by the way, if you can't get him at that phone number, try this, 913-515-0964. That's 515-0964, area code 913. And his email address, should anybody feel froggy to email him, which you all should, is jeremy.bain@oci.fda.gov. And ask Special Agent Bain why Dr. Carpenter's rights are being trampled, and why all of her stuff is being confiscated, and why the Food and Drug Administration has such a special interest in making sure that she does not do what she's supposed to do. And ask, does it have anything to do with the fact that Big Pharma pulls your strings?
Yep.
That's a
Well,
good
he
question.
said they had the right to do it because the judge sent the order. But who's behind that? Okay.
That's the question, and that should all be there. I mean, this should be public information and Freedom of Information Acts. Anybody that knows how to do Freedom of Information Acts, please contact Dr. Carpenter so that you can help her and we can have some justice here. Folks, that's the broadcast for this evening. Thanks, guys, for coming on, and I'm sorry again for what's happened to you.
Oh,
and
thank you, Joe.
anything that we can do to help, by all means, just
Also, Dr. Carpenter's going to be on room 101 tomorrow morning.
very good. So tune in, folks, to that. Again, that's the broadcast.